Hi, gorgeous. I want to talk about an easy way to 10x your life, like increase your prosperity, your joy, your peace, everything 10x. I don't feel like that's an exaggeration. That's how impactful it's been for me. I can't make any promises for what it's going to do for you, but I can share it. You can try it. Let me know in the comments what comes out of it for you. So, when I was younger, I would often find myself reflecting on the nature of life. And then I got busy. I started businesses, I started a family. And then a lot of that time that I was using for reflection and contemplation just seemed to dry up. And it also just didn't come to me as intuitively because I always had responsibilities and things that would kind of weigh on my mind if I had free time. And this last year, I got a lot of strong internal guidance that it was time to return to that practice of contemplation. Contemplation is something that is very common in Eastern culture and the Stoics in ancient Greece and Rome. Contemplation was a common practice, and it's something that we've kind of lost in modern society. And it's simple, but I've said this before, I'm sure I'll say it again. It's always the most simple practices that are the most profound. There's something about difficulty that makes the human mind think it must be valuable. Because if it's hard to get, it must be valuable. So I better go climb that mountain because it's hard to get at the top of that mountain. So there must be something valuable up there. And what they don't realize is that a lot of the value is actually in the valley. It's in the easy places to get. That's actually where you'd want to put your cozy little cabin and live by a stream and have a peaceful, joyful existence. But there's something about the striving that I can get addicted to. So bringing it back to contemplation, it's one of those things where it's so simple we can miss the value in it. We can undervalue it because it's easy, it's pleasant, and the rewards are huge. So I'm bringing this up because I want to encourage you to realize that a lot of the things that will bring you the most value aren't difficult. They're free. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to join a club or go to some mastermind group or go to a weekend retreat with some rah-rah speaker on the stage. You'll get as much or more value spending 15 minutes on your couch doing this. So here's the practice for me. Sometimes I'll set some nice calming mood music in the back, but that's totally optional. And I'll sit in a quiet space. Usually for me, that's just my home office because I can shut the door and I can let people know mommy needs a little quiet time. And I'll put my hand on my heart and I'll ask myself, what would benefit me to contemplate right now? And something always rises up. Sometimes it's a problem I've been pondering. Sometimes it's a relational issue. Sometimes it's more esoteric, like, why am I here? Who am I? What do I want? And why do I want it? Like going really back to the basics to make sure I'm not just running on a hamster wheel, but that I actually have an intent and that I'm actually living my life by my own pole star, by my own values, not getting caught up in what society's telling me to do, my, family, friends, whatever. At the end of the day, if you're not being authentic, if you're living your life for someone else, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing everyone else a disservice. So sometimes it's something really mundane and practical. Sometimes it's something very lofty and idealistic. But whatever it is that comes to my heart, I sit with it. I'm going to give you an example. Last week, when I sat down and I kind of checked in with my inner guidance, checked in with my heart, like what's something I need to transmute? What's something that I need to give some thought and contemplation to? And what came up was this business venture that I have. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I always have something going on. But I had kind of shelved this. And I had some physical assets related to the business that I wasn't utilizing. They were just kind of sitting there. And as I sat there in my gentle contemplation, which is an alpha state of mind. So I've done a lot of research and I've been hooked up to electrodes by neuroscientists. I did a program twice called 40 Years of Zen in Seattle, where you literally spend the entire week with a neuroscientist training on mind states, brain waves, essentially. So alpha state, but anyone can do it because we all shift between like beta, alpha, theta, gamma, delta. We all shift between these states within a 24-hour period. But some of us, and anyone can do this, but some of us learn how to shift from those states more rapidly. But I'm going to teach you real quick how to shift into alpha. Alpha, usually you can shift into quickly by just attuning to your inner presence, by closing your eyes and getting still, taking a few deep, slow breaths. And you go into this soft focus of awareness. It's very different from beta. A beta mind state is analytical. It would be useful if you were doing your taxes, for example. It's probably a useful state for an accountant. Someone who has to be very detail oriented and have a hard focus in a sense, because you got to make sure these numbers are adding up. Alpha state has a gentle and soft focus. It's more of an awareness, and it has a very much an allowing and receiving energy of letting imagery float into your mind. It's a very creative state. It's a very open state. It's a very calm state. It's pleasant. Ideally, that's the state you wake up in first thing in the morning, and there's sunlight coming in through the window, and you're like, it's peaceful. So you go to that state and you sit with the question or the topic that you've chosen for your contemplation. My topic for this meditation was this business venture and what I need to do with it. Within 2 minutes of this contemplation, an issue that had been vexing me for almost 2 years completely resolved itself. It was like, ding, 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 ding. Oh my gosh, I had the epiphany, the aha. I actually paused my contemplation and called my realtor and was like, can I do this? And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Why didn't we think of that? And, like a week later, I had an extra $100,000 that I was just going to not have. And I'm not promising similar results because maybe you don't have as much untapped potential as I've had, because maybe you're more organized to begin with. But whether it's relational, whether it's financial, whether it's with your personal productivity, reaching your dreams, your goals, whatever it's about, sometimes it's just emotional. I've sat in contemplation many times about just, if I'm feeling sad and I don't know why, I sit with that. Like, my contemplation is, why am I sad? And I'll sit with it in imagery, thoughts, realizations, little dots start to connect between, oh my goodness, this happened today, and I didn't realize that on a subconscious level, I was connecting to this thing that happened in my childhood. And you're like, all of a sudden the little neurons light up and there's connections made, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, okay, this all makes sense now. And sometimes just having that awareness allows you to kind of like hold space for it and be gentle with yourself and be like, okay, I understand now. It makes sense that I'm feeling this way. And you sit with it and you alchemize it. So I'm going to wrap this up with just encouraging you to set a daily contemplation practice. Give it a try for 2 weeks and see what comes out of it. To be honest, I'm almost like regretting that I shared my $100,000 miracle, because that's atypical. Usually what comes out of it, well, I say it's atypical, but then it's happened to me twice now within 2 weeks where I was able to make a huge monetary gain by taking 15 minutes of contemplation. So maybe it's not atypical, but I will say I do it every day. And for the most part, it doesn't have anything to do with money or manifesting or success. Those things tend to just pop up on their own, little mini miracles. But really my biggest gain has been internal, like reflecting on my marriage, reflecting on my relationship with my children, reflecting on my big picture goals. So my biggest gains have been just greater internal awareness. Honestly, to me, that's more valuable than the money, because money comes and goes, but the changes you make inside, the internal up levels, no one can take that from you. It doesn't go. It gets added upon. So I'm encouraging you to take 10 minutes at least. I do 15 minutes a day, but I'm encouraging you to take at least 10 minutes a day where you can sit in silent stillness. If you don't feel like you have 10 minutes a day, then I encourage you to really reflect on your life and do a time and energy audit. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. I know people who are incredibly successful, productive, and busy, and they have multiple businesses, kids, everything, and they still carve out time to meditate. So if you're not finding time, I encourage you to look at where you're spending it. Are you spending it at, how much Netflix are you watching? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that free time or just relaxing. There's not. Build in time for that too. But there's times where we're not actually relaxing, we're just distracting. So I feel like I need to do a whole nother video just on the difference between relaxing and distracting. Because we often will go to, when we feel anxious, instead of actually relaxing, we'll try to distract ourselves from the anxiety by doing something that actually subtly adds to it. For me, the way I try to distract myself from anxiety is I'll go scroll social media. But then after the 10 minutes of scrolling social media, I actually felt worse, not better. So it did distract me during that 10 minutes, but it didn't actually relax me. Whole nother topic, so I won't go off on that tangent in this video. But my point is, I do believe if you have a sincere intent to carve out 10 minutes for contemplation, you'll find it. So when you commit to this practice, I ask you to try it out for at least 2 weeks and see where it leads. And I'll walk you the steps again real quick to wrap up the video. Get yourself a quiet 10 to 15 minutes. Sit down. You can even be laying down on your couch. You don't even have to be sitting up. Like, just totally relax. Set your timer for whatever time you set for the contemplation. Pick your topic. I usually try to let it intuitively rise up from within. But it's fine if it's something that your mind is mulling over too. You're like, okay, well, I've been thinking about this problem all day, so I'm going to contemplate it. Sit there, take a few deep breaths, get into alpha. Deep, calming breaths. Sometimes it's helpful to do a body scan where you relax the top of your head, relax your eyes, your jaws, your armpits, your tummy, your glutes, your knees, your ankles, and just relax your entire body. Picture your entire spine relaxing, entire core of your being relaxing. In that very relaxed meditative state, keep a gentle focus on the topic that you chose and allow yourself to receive and contemplate and ponder that topic, and ideas will start coming to you. Realizations, epiphanies, awarenesses will start coming to you. Try this practice out. Let me know what happens. I love you so much.